after, the Prince of Fashion. It had been about a year since Ford came to the Everrealm, and it was the second week of school for those who started their school years at their chosen academies. Sophia and Amber were sitting in class at Everrealm Academy. Sophia took a glance at Amber's nose and went, "Wow, Amber, it's only the second week. That's a lot of notes." Amber explained to her sister that she basically had to write down every word said, so she had plenty of resources as a queen. "Well, I've learned that too much notes can go to your head and overwhelm you. Trust me, just write down the important things," Sophia replied. "Sophia, every word is important," Amber said. Sophia began to giggle, then felt a vibration on her wrist. "Have to do protector work again, huh?" Amber noticed. "Yeah, can you please take notes for me?" Sophia requested. Amber smiled and nodded, then joked that this will probably be a regular thing, making Sophia slightly laugh before standing up. "I don't know, probably," she joked back. At Chivalry Hall, James usually got out about 30 minutes before the other schools. He started a regular routine of going to the Institute of Science and Alchemy to meet up with Xandar when they got out of class. It had been a few months since their group got together, due to everyone preparing for school. Arriving at ISA, James saw Desmond walking out of the school and went, "Hey Des, have you seen Xandar?" "Oh, I think he's still in class," Desmond answered. "Hey James, how's Amber?" James got slightly confused, going, "She's Amber." Desmond was about to reply, but James noticed Xandar walking out of the building and then went, "Well, see ya, Des." He then rushed towards Xandar, leaving Desmond with a disappointed face. "We're supposed to sew our own dress by Friday? Impossible! When I signed up to go here, I thought we'd get gowns made for us, not that we'd be making them," Hildegard cried, reading the sheet of paper given to them at the School of Royal Fashions. Kali chuckled and reminded Hildegard that they made their own costumes once for the All Hallows Eve ball. "Did you see my costume? All I made was a mask because I don't know one thing about dressmaking." "Well, that's why we're here, to learn how to do it," Kali said. "Since you're so enthused, why don't you make it for me?" Hildegard replied. Kali just paused and told her how that meant she wouldn't be learning anything. "Ugh, well, if I can't do it, I'll humiliate myself. I just won't do it then. Better to not have anything to show than have people see how awful I am at this," Hildegard cried. Kali just stared blankly at the princess, not exactly knowing what to say. At the Corinthian Sports School, Hugo held the tryouts list that was given to them of all the teams they could try out for this semester. "That's a lot of choices," he noticed. He looked up, seeing a purple flying horse, and automatically knew who it was. "Hey, Sophia!" he cried. Sophia looked down, seeing the prince, and asked Minimus to land. "You doing protector work?" he questioned. "I just got done with it, actually. But it was just to help a bear cub find its cave. Nothing too big," Sophia sighed. "Ever since Prisma and Four were defeated, none of the missions have been very eventful," she finished. Hugo smiled and stated how he was sure she'd get a more meaningful assignment soon. "I hope so, but as long as I'm still helping people, or animals, I don't mind too much," Sophia replied. She saw Hugo's list and went, "What's that?" "It's the list of teams we can try out for this semester," he answered. Sophia asked which ones he was planning to do, and he replied, "Probably all of them," making Sophia giggle. At the Performing Arts Academy, Cleo and Vivian walked out of the theater, and Vivian asked if Cleo was planning to try out for the school musical. "Definitely. What about you?" Cleo answered. Vivian replied that she was planning to play in the orchestra for the musical. "Oh, that makes sense," Cleo began. She then sighed and went, "You know, I miss when we get together with our group." "Me too." "Wait, why don't we just organize something then?" Vivian declared. So after that, they tried to get the word out to their old group of friends to see if they wanted to meet up tomorrow after class. When school was released the next day, Sophia excitedly cried, "Come on, Amber, let's go, let's go!" She was probably the most excited out of everyone to get the group back together. However, at the School of Royal Fashions, Hildegard noticed Khalid still sitting at his desk, intensely drawing on a sheet of paper. "You know school is over now, right? You can stop working," she said. Khalid explained how he was trying to finish the design idea for the dress due on Friday. "Don't you have somewhere to be after this, though?" Hildegard asked. "Not really, no," Khalid sighed. Hildegard thought for a moment, then stated that hanging out with a group of friends is more fun than classwork. "I don't really have a group of friends to hang out with. Well, besides my sisters, but I honestly don't feel like practicing curtsies all afternoon," the prince replied. Hildegard simply said how she had a group of friends to hang out with and didn't want to be late. "Okay, have fun," Khalid responded. Hildegard began to walk away, but turned back around seeing that the prince was still working on his design. "Oh, Khalid, I almost pity you." "Fine, you can come along." This wasn't exactly Khalid's intentions, but how could he refuse joining a fun get-together? "What are we doing in Enchantia?" Khalid asked as Hildegard's coach began to land. She looked at him as though he had no common sense and informed him how this is where their group was meeting. As they walked inside, Hildegard announced that there was a tag-along today. Almost everyone in the room got really excited and welcomed Khalid. "You guys have been hanging out together all this time?" "Whoa, that explains so much," he said. "Actually, it's been a while since we've gotten together. That's why we're hanging out today," Vivian clarified. "Like back when we were trapped in the observatory and James had a temper tantrum," she giggled, everyone else laughing along. James chuckled and stated that it wasn't a temper tantrum. "Dude, it totally was," Hugo replied. Everyone was laughing, except Khalid, who confusingly stood there not understanding the joke. "Oh wait, what about that time where James got totally mad and formed that awful scavenger hunt plan?" Hugo said. James just smiled and questioned if they were purposefully teaming up on him. Sofia just giggled, answering that James wasn't the only one who made silly decisions, and reminded them all how jealous all the boys got when Varian came. "You mean when Hildegard became obsessive over some random village nerd?" Xandar replied. The group went on and on about random memories that Khalid didn't relate to. As everyone was laughing, he just went and sat by the wall. As Clea was giggling, she stopped and noticed something was missing. She looked at all her friends and realized, it's Khalid. She stepped away and looked around to find Khalid by the wall near the corner with a sheet of paper and pencil. Hey, what are you working on?" she asked. He looked up and answered how it was a project for school. "Can I see?" "Sure," Khalid enthusiastically responded. He went on to describe detail to detail on the dress he was drawing. Clea was fascinated. It seemed so professional from someone just starting out at the school. Suddenly, they heard voices calling their names. Apparently, they didn't even notice the time passing. Everyone was waiting to start their activity. As they rejoined the group, they were trying to come up with something they all could do. "Ooh, I know! How about truth or dare?" Khalid suggested. Everyone just gave him a blank stare. "Really? That's the best you got?" James replied. Cleo noted how she thought it sounded kind of fun. "All right, truth or dare it is," Sofia said. "Who wants to go first?" She finished. Hildegard quickly volunteered and asked Sofia truth or dare. Sofia picked dare and Hildegard dared her to take off her amulet for 30 seconds. "What? Hildegard, I can't!" Sofia cried. Hildegard rolled her eyes and stated how it was only 30 seconds. "Hildegard, this amulet means more to Sofia than you know," Hugo defensively said, wrapping an arm around Sofia while she tightly held her amulet. Amber told Hildegard to think of another dare, but Sofia stated, "No, Amber, I can do it. I think. But only for 30 seconds. Sofia took a deep breath and reached behind her neck. Hildegard smirked as everyone else was super concerned. The amulet finally dropped into Sofia's hands and everyone gasped. "Hugo, can you hold it for me during the 30 seconds? She asked. Hugo nodded and Sofia placed the amulet in his hands. All right, I guess I'm next. Vivian, truth or dare? Vivian answered truth and Sofia followed. Would you rather never play a mandolin again or have to move all over again? Oh gosh, I mean, if I can never play mandolin again, I still have other instruments, but moving depends on where we move. Vivian debated back and forth until Xandar told her to just pick already. Okay. I guess I'd have to choose move again. I could never imagine giving up playing mandolin. Alright, my turn now? Hildegard, truth or dare? After Hildegard gave the response dare, Vivian smirked and went, you have to be nice and give compliments to everyone for the rest of the day. The rest of the day? Hildegard panicked. Can we change it to 30 seconds like Sofia's dare? She questioned. Vivian shook her head and stated how this was different. Oh, okay. You come up with mischievous dares, Vivian. There, that's your compliment. Everyone else began to laugh. Amber volunteered to go next, picking James. I normally pick dare, but trust me, if Amber calls on you, never pick dare. I learned that the hard way. So, truth, James said. Amber questioned whether he liked Cleo or Vivian, and James replied, everyone here is awesome. I like both of them. The others all rolled their eyes, stating how that wasn't what she meant. Wait, you mean like? Ew, gross. Right now I don't like anyone, to be honest. James didn't notice, but Vivian quickly gave a depressive sigh. However, Sofia did, so she turned to her friend and went, it's nothing personal, Vivian. Don't worry. James just isn't into romance stuff. I'm sure one day he'll open up to you. Just give him time. Oh, speaking of time. Hugo then smiled and handed Sofia back her amulet. Thanks, Hugo, she said as she placed her amulet back around her neck. All right, my turn. Amber, truth or dare? James asked his twin. As Amber chose truth, James asked, is it true that you want to be a queen just so you can boss people around? What? No! I want to be queen for several reasons. To represent the kingdom, to test my abilities I've learned over time, to live up to Daddy's standards, and many other things, Amber answered. Sofia smiled and was so proud of her sister. Desmond nervously volunteered to go next and picked Cleo. After Cleo chose truth, she had to reveal an embarrassing secret. Secret? Well, during one of my plays, I was lip syncing, Cleo revealed. This wasn't exactly something everyone was expecting, but it was still quite a shock. She then sighed and went, okay, Khalid, truth or dare? Khalid decided to pick truth, and Cleo shyly went, is it true that you came here as Hildegard's date? Khalid and Hildegard simultaneously went, no! Khalid then followed, really? Hildegard? Hildegard uncomfortably shook as she stated, as interesting and, dedicated as Khalid is, I'm afraid he's not my type. Vivian laughed as she went, had a hard time saying that compliment, huh? And Hildegard just gave her a glare. Khalid then stated, let's just move on to the next person. That was a big time no. Ooh, I know what to do. Xandar, truth or dare? Dare all the way, Xandar confidently picked. I was hoping you'd say that. I dare you to mess up Hildegard's hair, Khalid chuckled. Hildegard quickly turned to Xandar, telling him that if he touches her hair, it will be the last thing he does. Vivian then chimed in, Hildegard, remember your dare. Xandar whispered to James, who nodded and handed him something. Once Xandar turned back around, he began to chew. Suddenly, a large bubble came out from his mouth. He faced toward Hildegard where the bubble bursted and blew her hair back and stuck to it. Her hair was raggedy and gum was spread all across it. All she did was scream. Almost all the guys began to laugh as Hildegard intensely clenched her fist, trying not to say anything. Sofia nudged Hugo's arm and shook her head, signaling him to stop laughing. Hugo nodded in response, then went, "Ahem. So Xandar, who are you going to pick?" Xandar smirked and stated that he was actually going to pick Hugo and asked him truth or dare. "Bring on the dare," Hugo responded. Xandar then dared him to kiss Sofia's cheek. "Right here? In front of everyone?" Hugo questioned in shock. It's not that he wouldn't want to kiss Sofia's cheek, it was more that the two of them weren't so public with their feelings. "Yep, right here, right now," Xandar smirked. Sofia smiled and placed her hand on Hugo's, signifying that it was all right. Hugo nervously looked around at everyone, who officially wouldn't keep their eyes off of him. Once he looked back at Sofia, he couldn't help but smile. He then officially leaned forward and kissed her cheek. The girls all thought it was so cute, but James just went, "Gross!" "Well, the only person left is you, buddy," Hugo said, looking at Desmond. "So, truth or dare?" he followed. Desmond wanted to pick truth, due to dares always leading somewhere bad, but he was afraid of so many secrets possibly being revealed if he chose truth, so he decided to go with dare. "Well, since we've been playing this way, I dare you to kiss the cutest girl in the room," Hugo told him. Desmond's face quickly began to flush as he cried, "What?" He looked at Amber from the corner of his eye and began to stutter, I... He then looked around at everyone and cried out, "I can't!" Then dashed out of the room. "Okay, that's enough. This game has gone too far. Desmond, wait!" Amber called out. Sofia automatically agreed, going, "I'm with you, Amber. Let's come up with a different game that won't make everyone feel uncomfortable. Amber, can you go get Desmond while we decide on an activity?" Amber nodded, then looked back at all of the boys, telling them no more funny business, and went to find the prince. "Amber's right, guys. Let's be mature. Anyone have any other ideas?" Everyone paused until Cleo suggested that Khalid should show everyone his designs. "I should?" he confusingly replied. Cleo gave a simple, cute smile, and Khalid went, Okay." He pulled out his sheet of paper that he had been working on earlier, then pulled out 4 other sheets as well, going, "The truth is, I can't really decide what style to use for my project. So, I've been coming up with different designs since I still don't know which to use." Hugo then placed his hand on Khalid's shoulder, saying how they all can help him decide. Cleo then suggested having a fashion show. Khalid could make his designs and the princesses could all model the dresses for him. James added how the boys could all vote which is the best. "Desmond! Desmond! Oh, where did he go?" Amber cried while searching the hallways of the castle. "Wait, I know!" Amber realized and made her way to the castle's library. She slowly opened the door, going, "Desmond, are you in here?" She stepped in the room and tried to find the prince. She then turned and looked behind her, seeing the young prince in the corner with his head tucked into his knees. Amber let out a sigh and approached the prince. "Hey, you okay?" Desmond began to look up and went, Amber? Amber gave him a comforting smile in response, and Desmond then replied, I'm fine." "That's the biggest lie I've ever heard," Amber chuckled. The blonde princess went and sat by the prince, stating, "Listen, all those boys are so immature. You don't always have to do what they say. You are way more mature than them, and that's what makes you better. You don't have to always try to please them and be like them. You're not James, you're not Hugo, you're not Khalid, and you're not Xandar. You're Desmond, and that's what makes you great. So, it's okay if you don't have the courage and athletic abilities that they do, because I think you are best when you are being you." Desmond turned to look at Amber and began to smile. He questioned if she really meant that, and she replied, "I do. I really do." She then followed, "So, are you feeling better?" and placed her hand on his knee. Desmond's heart began to race as he looked down at her hand going, "Yeah, He looked back up at Amber, smiled, and calmly finished, "I'm okay now." Re-entering the throne room, they both noticed almost everyone was missing. James turned to them and went, "Oh, Amber, they need you in Madame Colette's office. Tully's putting on a fashion show, and they need you to be one of the models." Amber gasped, going, "A fashion show? Ooh, okay!" Amber quickly hugged Desmond, saying that she was glad he was okay, then automatically dashed out of the room. Desmond started to blush and dreamily smiled as he stood watching her run off. He stayed this way until he heard the guys calling his name. From the tone of voice, it sounded as though they were trying to get his attention for a while, but Desmond was too zoned out to notice. In Madame Colette's office, Khalid was trying to get the measurements of all the princesses and picking out all the right fabric. The door soon opened, with Amber coming in excitedly going, "So, I heard we are doing a fashion show!" Khalid approached Amber and handed her the sheet of paper with the design he planned for her to wear. She observed the paper and went, "Does it come in yellow?" Khalid quickly pulled out the yellow gold fabric he planned to use, telling her, "I thought you'd say that." Eventually, all the princesses were wearing the 5 designs made by Khalid and ready to start the show. The girls each took turns modeling their outfit. "I thought fashion shows were boring, but this is awesome! You look great, Sofia!" Hugo cheered, making Sofia giggle as she finished her turn. "I must say, you really do have a great taste in fashion, and the dresses are surprisingly comfortable," Hildegard told Khalid. "Nice compliment," Vivian smirked. Hildegard thanked her and stated how she was trying. The show continued until Cleo was saved for last. Her gown had a white skirt with a yellow and green top that flowed partway down her skirt. It was simple yet beautiful. As she returned with the other girls, Khalid exclaimed, "That was amazing, guys! And Cleo, you rocked that dress! It suits you perfectly!" They all walked out and took a bow. Then Khalid asked the other princes, "Alright guys, so what do you think?" "Honestly, I really like Cleo's dress," James admitted. The other boys began to agree, but Hugo added that the best model was Sofia. "But we're not judging the models. We're judging the dresses," Desmond told Hugo. Hugo chuckled and went, "I know, I was just pointing it out." He then turned and winked to Sofia. Desmond just glanced between Hugo and Sofia and thought, how does Hugo have the confidence to say these things? He and Sofia have been seeing each other for a while, but I don't even have the courage to give a simple compliment to Amber. Khalid then understood that the vote was unanimous, and the last dress was the one he should present at school. He then told Cleo, "After I'm done presenting it in class, I think you should keep the dress. It looks great on you." "Really?" Cleo giggled. "Wow. Okay, thanks," she finished. "I still don't have a dress that I'm going to present," Hildegard sighed. Khalid chuckled and said he was sure that she would figure it out by Friday. So that Friday, Khalid demonstrated his new gown and got a spectacular grade for it. Hildegard, however, wasn't so lucky. She did show up with the gown, but it wasn't too professional. However, since it was only their first project, the teacher didn't fail her, and instead just gave her feedback on how to improve. Afterwards, Khalid dropped the new dress off at Cleo's, and they both couldn't have been more happy.